Con ustedes el señor Robert Jaeger.
Good afternoon, Expo Atari. Can you hear me?
They can hear you.
Am I on?
They say yes.
Okay, great.
No los escucha.
Great.
Hold on a second, Robert. You need to hear this. Dice Robert que no los escucha. ¿Están acá? ¡Sí! Okay, you're good to go. Thanks. There you go. That's it. That's it right there.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. This is very exciting for me. This is the first time for me to speak in front of an audience in Chile. And as you know, Chile is very, very important to Atari and, of course, to Montezuma. So thank you so much. And the first thing I'd like to get out of the way, I just want to thank Alejandro Capelli for inviting me. And Alejandro worked for me for quite a while. He did some beautiful work on the NES Kickstarter. He did a lot of he did the maps, he did the box art, contributed to the packaging, and lots and lots and lots of quality assurance. Thank you so much, Alejandro. There's so many people in Chile who, so many fans, so many friends of Montezuma I'd like to thank, but I'd like to thank Rod, of course, for helping out here, getting this, getting the technical stuff going right. And two people who are very important to me, Felipe Renaud, who is a phenomenal programmer. He programmed the NES version of Montezuma, which is also the basis of the 8-bit version on Switch right now, and also the basis for the X16 version. The X16 is a project by the 8-bit guy, which is really exciting, which is something of a sequel to the Commodore 64 series of computers that he's actually going to be producing now. And another person who's very important to me, who I've been working with now for months, is Jose Parga. Jose, I believe, is on stage right now. You're going to see work that I've been doing with Jose. Jose is a big fan of Montezuma. Everyone who's ever worked on my game in my group has been a big fan. And Jose is doing level design for the director's cut, and also doing a tremendous amount of testing and quality assurance right now, which is so important to me. I'd like to talk real quickly. I'd like to give you a little bit of the background. I know most of you have heard the story of Montezuma and know a bit of the history, but for the people who don't, I want to explain real quickly that there's two versions of Montezuma for Atari. One of them was the version that was produced by Parker Brothers. Parker Brothers marketed it all over the world. And then there was the version that was leaked. And to the Atari community, the production version is known as the preliminary version, and the leaked version is known as the either Montezuma. I'm not even exactly sure if it's Montezuma 1 or Montezuma 2. But the story is that when I wrote Montezuma, I was 16 years old. And I had a loaded Atari computer, which was at the time the Atari 800, 48K, and I had a disk drive. And that was an amazing piece of technology for its time. So when I started to work on Montezuma, I wanted to create the most technically advanced. I wanted to take advantage of all of the graphics chips, the sound. I just wanted to make the ultimate Atari game. And my plan was to release it on diskette, a fully loaded diskette, and I was coding on a 48K system. Now, when Parker Brothers licensed the game from me, they basically told me, you stop, you don't have to finish this game, because we're going to take your source code, we're going to reduce it so it could fit into a cartridge. So the option of making it a cartridge, and they felt it was a lot less difficult to pirate a cartridge. And also they wanted it to be available for the largest number of systems out there. So the version that most people play, most people know, is the production version, which is a great game. Parker Brothers did a beautiful job of reducing it and creating a consistent game for everyone. But the version of the game that I've been working on with Jose over the last it's actually been years. It's been a process. The director's cut of Montezuma is the game that I originally wanted to make for the Atari, the full-blown version of Montezuma, with more puzzles, more difficult challenges, and just a more comprehensive game that really took advantage of everything that the Atari can do. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to show the sneak preview video now, Rod. If you can play that for the audience, that would be great.
Sure I will. Just for confirmation, this is sure I will. Just for confirmation, this is the director's cut, right? Or is it the snake we own?
The director's cut video.
There you go. Hang on a minute. Para la audiencia, lo que Robert quiere mostrarnos ahora, ya vamos a pasar a las preguntas y respuestas un poco más adelante, es mostrar un poquito el director's cut, el corte del director, como en las películas, cuando el director hace el gusto de mostrar lo que no mostró la película o el juego original. Esto es lo que muestra el corte del director. A ver si luego sacar el sonido. Pausarlo. Sí. ¿Ya va? Vamos a ver. Sí.
Rob, if you need a minute, I could talk a little more.
No, we were just about to play the video. There it goes.
Okay, so I can't see, so let me know, I could hear it, I guess.
¿Qué les pareció? ¿Bien, vale? ¡Vamos!
Yes, I think that's what, Ron, I just want to confirm with Jose that you showed the director's cut video.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay, so that is a sneak preview. A lot of that is subject to change, what you're seeing, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of, that particular video has been seen before, but I have two more videos to show. The next video that I have to show you is a sneak preview of the console version of the game. Last year I licensed the console rights to an updated version of Montezuma. So this is separate from Director's Cut. This is going to be a modernized version of Montezuma with lots of new challenges, but very much a Montezuma the 2023 modernized console edition. We're calling it the 40th anniversary edition. Montezuma's Revenge was published in 1984, and it's 40 years later we have the updated Switch version. So, Rod, do you have that video ready?
I do.
I can't hear. If you could play that video, that would be great.
So we're going for the 48th anniversary. Let me just confirm with everybody that we are understanding what he's saying. Gente, lo que comenta Robert es que Montezuma's Revenge originalmente fue hecho el año 83. Ha pasado un poquito de tiempo desde ese entonces y lo que les queremos mostrar es la edición aniversario. Y ahí van a tener el placer de verla.
We have complete clearance for launch. We are go.
Miten plötsligt stressam stark hela. Oh, te domino. Qué bueno. ¿Puedes oír eso? Es tu muerte que se aproxima. En mi templo te atreves a buscar mi tierra. Eniten los ja stressat ska riskera.
¿Qué les pareció? It seems like they liked it. They liked it. Can you hear us?
Hi, is it over? Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So I wanted you guys to have a sneak preview. What you just saw, that was the first time anyone has seen any of that, that material. I have one more video that I'd like to close with, which is just some more of the director's cut, some more rooms, some more action, a lot of Jose's work, level design work in the final video. A couple things I'd like to mention. Montezuma, if you guys don't know, it is out. It is out on most systems. It's mobile, iOS, Android, Windows Store, Mac, and we're going to have a couple new releases. I just released it on the Amazon store, and we're going to be it's pretty exciting. We're going to be releasing on the Atari VCS. A lot of people have been asking for that one, and I've been kind of holding off on that because that's a Linux build, and it's the first time that I have the Montezuma Linux build, but it went pretty well, and I'm pretty excited about that. And we're also going to have Montezuma on GOG, which is another long time ask for people. So Atari VCS and GOG should be out, I would say, within the next month or so. Director's Cut is due for December. If you guys want the best way to keep up to date with Montezuma news, I do most of my social media on Facebook, so it's Montezuma's Revenge Game. But Facebook.com Montezuma's Revenge Game is my Facebook identity. And Rod, can we do some questions? Can I answer some questions from the audience, or if you have questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
Sure, you don't want to go through the Patreon first? Video? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rob? Rob, can you hear me now? Rob? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, but you're low.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can go a little bit louder. Any better? Lo que les mostró Robert, y ahí José, podrías contarnos un poquito más de los planes que se vienen. La edición 40 aniversario está agendada para fin de este año. Cuéntanos un poco, José, cuáles son los planes de las próximas releases.
Bueno, hola. Yo estoy trabajando con Robert en el primer video, en el Director's Cut, que es su idea de Montezuma, cómo él lo pensó cuando lo empezó a diseñar. Nunca lo terminó, como todos sabemos. Él me contactó a principios de año porque él, bueno, yo creé el Montezuma Game, para el cual creé nuevas piezas. Armé un Montemaker, Montezuma Maker. Él me contactó porque él quería hacer nuevos diseños de nuevas piezas. Yo pude adaptar mi Montezuma Maker para poder empezar a hacer nuevos diseños. Ya tenía un poco de experiencia con Montezuma Game. Y bueno, ha sido un trabajo bien interesante. No solo son nuevas piezas, también hay nuevas características, nuevos ítems. Ahí vieron a Pedro que saltaba como en unos trampolines. Hay como unos tubos que no solo te tiran para abajo, puedes subir con ellos, etc. Y ha sido un muy buen trabajo. Rob es bastante receptivo a comentarios, a nuevas ideas, y ha sido bien interesante el trabajo. En principio, el Director's Cut se está haciendo en plataforma Windows, que también va a salir para iOS, Android, etcétera, como la versión que ya tiene. Y después va a salir una versión para Atari, con estas nuevas mejoras. Que es lo que todos queremos. Pero actualmente estamos desarrollándolo en la versión de Windows por un tema práctico, ¿no? Hacerlo para Atari sería mucho más difícil, pero luego se viene el port para Atari también, en cartridge, y bueno, vamos a tener más noticias pronto, todavía está todo esto en desarrollo, y nada, pues, está súper excitante trabajar con Rob y hacer nuevas piezas, está súper entretenido, se viene súper difícil. A Rob quiere que sean difíciles, que sean muy desafiantes, van a haber continuos infinitos, así que no hay problema. Así que, nada, pues, espero que lo disfruten cuando salga, que les guste lo que vamos a seguir mostrando y nada, pues, todo haciéndolo por la pasión por Montezuma desde chico y nada, pues, tratando de traspasar toda esa emoción y la nostalgia que era jugarlo cuando éramos más jóvenes.
Excelente, gracias. Un aplauso. Aprovechemos a Rob. ¿Quién le quiere hacer una pregunta a Rob, ya que lo tenemos en línea y esto no está grabado? Por favor, joven. No, te escuché, yo le voy a pasar la pregunta. Habla en castellano nomás.
Dos cosas. Uno, si es que como que le gusta leer o investigar acerca de la civilización en que el juego está basado, en realidad no sé si es mayor, pero y lo segundo, si le escuché hablar de utilidad y si tiene una versión para el Commander existente. ¿Qué dice ahí?
So, Rob, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Is there a question?
Yes, there's a question for you.
Okay, you're very low, so please, if you can speak loudly.
Let's see if we can do any better here. So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So, quick question from the audience. Did you do, or did you still do, or did you do in the past any research on the civilizations the game is based on?
I have to ask you to repeat that. It's very hard. Maybe you can write it in the
Sure. Can you hear me any better now?
the chat box window we have.
Sure. Let me pass it on.
Can you hear me any better now? Any better?
It's very low.
Okay, how about now?
It's the same.
Okay. You cannot hear me? No, I'm gonna pass it through the chat. Is that okay with you?
Por alguna razón, Robert no nos escucha, así que vamos a hacer. No, vamos a hacer por chat. So it's going through the chat.
Actually, if we, I can try the other hookup. I think we might be able to have better audio there.
Sure. Let me know. Oh, you know what? Let me try something. Hang on a minute.
Paciencia, gente. Paciencia. Vamos a hacer un cambio acá. En el audio. Acá.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Hang on, Rob. Can you hear me any better now? Just make
Yes, I hear you fine now.
Okay, perfect. So you may want to release the other one. And here's a question for you. Have you read or do you still study anything about the civilizations the game is based on?
Oh, no. I am not a historian in any way whatsoever. I just thought it was the original idea of Montezuma's Revenge was a friend of mine, Mark Sunshine. I wanted to create something new, something original. And Montezuma's Revenge it's a joke of a name because Montezuma's Revenge is the name for the diarrhea that tourists get in Mexico. Like, it was a joke, don't drink the water, you'll get Montezuma's Revenge. And my friend Mark and I thought that was very, very funny, just to call a game Montezuma's Revenge, just because it's a good name for a game. But I've never actually studied the culture. And I certainly, don't mean in these days, I know people are easily offended. I am doing it with all respect, and I'm very fond of it, but I'm just not a historian person.
La verdad que él no le ha dado mucho al tema de hacer profundidad histórica sobre esto, pero él siente mucho respeto por la civilización en la que sí está basado el juego, así que a grandes rasgos esa es la respuesta. Pregunta. Acá. No, perdón, alguien estaba primero. We have a small kid who wants to ask you a question.
Okay.
Si ha creado algún otro juego además del Montezuma.
So he wants to know if you had written any other games other than Montezuma's Revenge.
Yeah, there were a few other games. The first commercial game that I wrote was called Chomper, which was one of the very first Pac-Man clones. I mean, it wasn't a clone. It was a Pac-Man inspired game. It wasn't as good as Pac-Man. It was basically a grid that you traveled on, but it was fun, and I was 13 years old when I published that one. And I also did another game called Pinhead, which was very derivative of Kickman, and that's why when I decided to do something new with Montezuma, I wanted to just say, no, I'm not gonna copy arcade games anymore. I want to do something really new and really fresh. But Montezuma certainly was inspired by plenty of guemes at the time, and I always credit Donkey Kong as an inspiration for Montezuma, and Atari Superman. There were a few non-linear type games that preceded Montezuma, and I definitely liked them a lot, like Atari Adventure and Atari Superman. So the idea of Montezuma was to create an arcade-style game that's just much bigger, that took advantage of a whole computer, and it took advantage of the fact that a person can play for a much longer time, and it was much more comprehensive. But at the time when I wrote Montezuma, point-operated games were king, and everyone wanted to make games that were as good as, or nearly as good as coin-op, and that was really one of the main things I was trying to do with Montezuma when I originally wrote it.
Sounds good. Thank you. Let me go back to the audience on that. La pregunta que hizo es si había hecho algún otro juego aparte de Montezuma, y la respuesta es sí. Él hizo un juego que se llama Jumper, que era una especie, era muy parecido a Pac-Man. En esa época se copiaban mucho los juegos que estaban en los arcades, que estaban en los flippers. Después hizo otro juego que se llamaba Pinhead, que también estaba en la misma línea. Y fue ahí cuando Robert tomó la decisión de hacer algo completamente distinto. Quisiera que ocupara todas las características que tenía el computador y poder hacer algo totalmente diferente. Por eso hizo Montezuma. Perdón, ahí.
¿En qué momento se dio cuenta que el juego era tan popular acá en Sudamérica, o no sé si particularmente en Chile?
¿En qué momento se dio cuenta que el juego era tan popular en Latinoamérica y particularmente en Chile? Rob, when did you realize that the game was so incredibly popular in Latin America and especially in Chile?
Well, it really is Chile in particular. It's hard to believe, but Chile makes up 25% of the global Montezuma audience. And I guess I really learned it I guess it was about 10 years ago that I first set out to just bring Montezuma back. So I originally released it for iOS, and I did notice that almost all of my fans that contacted me, that were curious about me and meeting me and about the game, almost all of them were from one of two countries, which is Chile and Poland. And I found that fascinating. And then I realized that it really is Chile and Poland that is carrying this Atari tradition forward through these groups, these get-togethers. It's a terrific, strong community. So so it was really about 10 years ago that I realized that that my audience, the modern audience for Montezuma is Chile. It's my number one country.
All right, thank you. Se dio cuenta hace 10 años más o menos la popularidad que tenía Montezuma en Chile. Cuando sacó la versión para Android, se dio cuenta que la mayor cantidad de interés de las preguntas que le hacían, de gente que lo quería contactar, era de Chile. Y ahí se dio cuenta que en Chile estaba pasando algo distinto. Dos países se destacaron, Chile y Polonia, pero Chile realmente rompe todos los récords a nivel mundial. Pregunta por acá.
Sí, como desarrollo independiente en su época, ¿cuál fue la dificultad que tuvo para conseguir un publisher y en el momento poder desarrollar el juego completo? Porque me imagino que antes tenía que primero hacer un prototipo. Eso es mi pregunta para Robert Jaeger.
Vamos a ir probablemente a Parker Brothers. So, Robert, one of the questions is, being a young and independent developer, what was the challenge? How did you go to professionalizing the whole thing? Maybe tell us a little bit about the story with Parker Brothers. How did all that happen?
Oh, I love telling this story. I just hope we have enough time. I was very, very lucky to have a father, a family who supported me when I was very young. And they realized that I was talented in this. And they supported me as far as, at the time, I actually had a little publishing company called Utopia Software. So I published the game Pinhead, which I explained before, through my own little company, Utopia Software. And I was planning on releasing Montezuma in a similar way, just producing diskettes in my basement and putting them in the box and just selling to distributors. And there were lots of little tiny publishing companies back then. But back then, the business, the industry, was all centered around the Consumer Electronics Show. The Consumer Electronics Show has evolved into E3. But back then, there was one big show that was all of consumer electronics. But video games was taking over that show. Video games were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So my father was just very lucky to be able to get us a booth at the Consumer Electronics Show. Now, we didn't have a real booth in the games area. We just got whatever we can get. And we shared a booth with a blank VHS videotape company. But as we were at the show, we noticed more and more people with Parker Brothers badges coming over to look at Montezuma, and it was exciting. I mean, it was pretty easy to see that they were interested. And before the show was over, they contacted us and they took us out to dinner and they explained what Parker Brothers can do for a product like this. So it was a pretty easy sell, and it was a very good deal for me for a kid, a 16-year-old, to get involved in this way. And also Montezuma was it was the only game that Parker Brothers produced that wasn't either an arcade license or a movie license. So every Parker Brothers title, with the exception of Montezuma, was already part of popular culture. So Parker Brothers took a chance with Montezuma, and it paid off. Montezuma was a big hit worldwide, and we were very lucky to get in just before the first the 8-bit video game crashed. It was really one of the last games before the crash happened. And Parker Brothers, along with many other companies, they just dissolved their games division at that point.
Thank you, Robert. Fue básicamente un tema de suerte. Él tenía su propia empresa de publicación, que era Utopia Software, que aparece en Montezuma's Revenge. Tuvo la suerte de estar con un stand en la Consumer Electronics Show, que era muy popular, la CES en esa época, y lo encontraron del grupo de Parker Brothers, y fue el único juego no arcade que publicaron. Era una empresa de juegos gigante, y para un chico de 16 años básicamente le cambió la vida. Ahí hay un documental de un chileno que se llama Seguir Jugando. Los invito ahí a revisar ese documental donde cuentan toda esa historia. Ahí al fondo hay otra pregunta.
Son dos preguntas breves.
Dale. Nos quedan las últimas porque ya tenemos que cerrar. Sí.
¿Qué opinión tiene sobre un juego que, por lo menos yo, a mi juicio, es como un primo lejano de Montezuma, que sería el Far Cry, cuanto a la jugabilidad?
Y la segunda pregunta, ¿qué opinión tiene sobre Montezuma Game? ¿No considera que es siniestro?
Okay. The question is, what's your opinion on Farah's course? The person who asks the question finds some similarities on the two games and maybe consider them cousins. So what's your opinion on that specific game?
I have to tell you, I know Pharaoh's Curse. I mean, I know of it. I don't know if I've ever even played it, but it's a flat. I mean, it's a platformer with an Egyptian theme, and I understand it's a good game. I don't know enough about it to really to comment. I'm always very flattered when games, platform games come out and they mention Montezuma as an inspiration. I guess the Metroid line of games is something of the mainstream successor of platformers, and I know that that a lot of times Montezuma is mentioned in the same breath as those games. But I mean, to me, it's very flattering. It makes me feel very proud to know that what I did has inspired other games and has a tiny little part of video game history.
Sounds good, thanks. Estamos cortos de tiempo, le quiero hacer una última pregunta a Robert para ya ir cerrando y me encantaría preguntarle cuál sería su mensaje hoy a la comunidad Atari que todavía está vigente, está presente, hoy día se hizo presente y sería bueno escuchar de él si están de acuerdo esa pregunta. Robert, if you could send a message to the Atari community out there, which is very, very present in this very expo, we have full house. So what would your message be for them?
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for keeping this tradition alive, for keeping this great legendary period of video games alive for the next generation of gamers. I'm humbled. I'm flattered, and I'm thrilled to be speaking to fans. And I never ever would think when I was a kid writing Montezuma that 40 years later I'd be talking to an audience of people who are interested in what I'm doing to finish up a game that I started 40 years ago. Thank you so much.
Dice que tenemos la responsabilidad de mantener esta llama viva para las generaciones que vienen. Un aplauso, por favor, fuerte para Robert Jaeger.
Thank you, everybody. Rob, if you could play that final video as the people are just to close this session, that would be great.
Sure, we will. So thank you for being with us. Gracias, Robert, por estar con nosotros esta tarde. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank
Super
you,
appreciate it.
thank you, Alejandro. Thank you, all the fans, all the Chilean fans. It's just wonderful to be speaking in Chile for the first time.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you soon next year, probably. We shall see. We are going to.
I'd love to come back, and next year should be fun because we'll have all of these games. You guys hopefully be playing them by then. So.
Tiene pensado volver, así que bueno, cobremos la palabra el próximo año. Un aplauso, por favor.
Thanks, everybody.
Ahí tienen lo más nuevo de Montezuma. Estén atentos para cuando esto se libere. Les quiero aprovechar de pedir de todo corazón y con todo cariño un aplauso para José, que nos acompañó hoy día también con su hija Tina ahí. Está trabajando activamente en eso y ustedes están viendo mucho del trabajo de José. Está acá, así que por favor, un aplauso muy fuerte para José. Gracias, José, por estar con nosotros también. Gracias.
Bravo.